are coming to you from Comerica Park in Detroit, where tonight WGN Sports on My 50 presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, and our Sox as they get set to butt heads with Miguel Cabrera and the Detroit Tigers. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you Game 2 of the split doubleheader. As you know or may not know, we won the opener 2-0. It was one of, if not the best game that Jeff Samardzija ever pitched. Of course, he did pitch that good one against us for the Cubs, but he had a one-hitter. Only one guy got on base, and we won that ball game 2-0. But there were two heroes in that game.
There were indeed. One was a rookie, one was Jeff Samardzija, and the rookie was Carlos Sanchez, who did just a great job. Here he's scoring the first run, and after doubling, he scores on an Adam Eaton single. The play was overturned, and he was called safe at the plate. Then he hits a home run. This makes it 2-0, and if there's ever such a thing as a 2-0 rout, this was it. And the reason is that Jeff Samardzija had everything well in control. This is the first hitter of the game. Anthony Goh swings at a slider down and in, and then he gets Kinsler also on a strikeout. He went on to throw the ball as well as you could possibly throw it. This is the last out of the ball game, and Jeff Samardzija, a 2-0 winner, and if he can throw like that the rest of the way, he's going to be a very successful young man. There you look at the daily double, and as you can see, a big day for Carlos Sanchez, and you can't sweep a doubleheader unless you win the first game, and the Sox did just that.
Well, one of the beautiful things about that game, he did not hang one slider or one breaking ball in that whole ball game. But on the bump for us tonight in Game 2 will be Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson making his fourth start. And last time out, he threw the ball pretty well, although not as well as the first two times. Since coming back from the minor leagues, he stayed aggressive. He works ahead in the count. He's got a really good slider. His fastball has been mostly in the zone, and then he's gone upstairs to get strikeouts. This is the last time out. He went 6, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, but overall he's 2-0 in 3 starts. His ERA 3.71. This is more the Eric Johnson we saw 2 years ago than the one that we saw last year. And this Eric Johnson is good enough to vie for a spot in the rotation next year.
All right, it'll be the rookie in essence, Eric Johnson, against the veteran, the 39-year-old veteran Randy Wolf. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. By Honda. Start something special with a great deal on Honda. Now at your Honda dealer. By Subway. Make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. By Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Robbins Ball Club was able to win the first game on a gem by Jeff Samardzija, just enough hitting and some very good defense. So let's take a look at how Robbins going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Micah Johnson leading it off, playing second base, and it's Tyler Saladino at shortstop, with Jose Abreu, the designated hitter, driven in 9 over the last 7 games. Trace Thompson, the left fielder. Then it's Abisail Garcia, Mike Holt, Gordon Beckham, Rob Brantley, and Leury Garcia playing center field and hitting 9. The defense and how they'll line up behind the venerable Randy Wolf. Tyler Collins in left, Rajai Davis in center, and J.D. Martinez in right. That's Nick Castellanos, Andrew Romine, Josh Wilson, Miguel Cabrera in the infield, with Alex Avila behind the plate. And the aforementioned Randy Wolf on the hill. He's 0-3, his ERA, just about 6.5. On for his 6th start. Opponents hitting a robust .330 against him. He's a soft-tossing left-hander with a big curveball, trying to make a comeback in the major leagues and seeing if he can kick it off successfully in the nightcap of the Twin Bill. The umpires for the game tonight: Brian Gorman behind the plate. Trip Gibson is at first. Tom Woodring is at second, and Stu Sherwater is at third. So late in the season, what you're trying to do is get a good look at your youngsters and see if there's anybody who you pencil in, perhaps at least for a shot and maybe a position going into spring training. It all depends on just exactly what you're going to do with your ball club over the wintertime. And in the case of the Tigers, they've got a brand new general manager, and they really have some work to be done, as do the Sox. And so they've thrown the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball. And that means I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball over WGN Sports on My 50. So happy you could join us for the second of this 4-game set and the second of this day-night doubleheader. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours, as here's Micah Johnson. And the first pitch from the 39-year-old veteran southpaw is taken for a strike. Randy Wolf. He's been around for a while. He's 133 up, 123 down. Ate him up right there. Softly hit.
He might have had a chance to beat that out, but he stumbled out of the box, and that gave Romine all kinds of time to get the throw to first base. Normally Mike is very fast, but not when that happens.
So here's Saladino. Tyler, 236, 4 homers and 20 driven in. Takes that pitch away. What a game in the first game. One man reached base. That was a Kansas City special base hit. A broken bat, little flare over the shortstop's head in short left field by Victor Martinez, and that was it. As there he is. I think maybe that game he pitched against us when he was with the Cubs at our place was as good as the one he pitched today. But I'll tell you what, when you don't hang a breaking ball all day long, you've done something.
I think that game he pitched against us at our place was perhaps a little bit better because
he had better stuff.
He had better stuff, and the lineup was a little stronger.
Yeah, he had better stuff that game, as they can't get it. But today, he still had good stuff, but he wasn't throwing 97, 98 like he was with that changeup that he used against us in that particular game. Abreu 0 for 3 in the first game, comes in hitting at 296, 29 homers and 95 driven in. Meanwhile, there were 8 or 9 scouts in attendance in that first game, and I think they saw what they came to see.
We certainly had to like what you saw, because you saw a pitcher at the top of his game facing a lineup that probably had 4 or 5 pretty decent major league hitters, and the requisite number of young hitters who just didn't do anything. In fact, they were checking to see if the arm was right. The arm certainly was right, and everything else was right also.
That's going to be an easy 1-2-3 inning for Randy Wolf.
Tigers, Rajai Davis leading it off, and Ian Kinsler, Miguel Cabrera, J.D. Martinez, who's 7th in the league with 97 driven in. Then it's Tyler Collins, Nick Castellanos, Alex Avila, Josh Wilson, and Andrew Romine rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Eric Johnson left to right, Trace Thompson, Leary Garcia, and Abisail Garcia in the outfield. With Gordon Beckham, Tyler Saladino, Micah Johnson, and Mike Old at first base. Rob Brantley gets a nod behind the plate. And Eric Johnson on the hill looking for his 3rd win of the year. He's 2-0, his ERA 3.71. This is his 4th start. Opponents hitting .242. And for the most part, he's worked very quickly and gotten just about everything over the plate.
So here's Davis at .247, 7 homers and 26 driven in. First pitch strike. And quickly 0-2.
It would certainly be wise to keep Rajai Davis off the base paths. He swiped 18. He's been caught 5 times. He's one of their premier base stealers along with Anthony Gose, and they platoon in center field.
Tigers come in hitting at .270 as a club. Team average dropped 2 points on that one hitter by Samardzija. He gone.
This is a good solid slider. He keeps it in a good spot. When you're ahead of the hitter, you can just nip at the corner, maybe throw it low and out of the zone. And well executed first at bat by Eric Johnson.
And here's a tough customer, the DH in this game. Ian Kinsler at .303, 11 homers, 70 driven in. There's the strike. And the count 2-1 here at the ballpark. 345 down the left field line, 330 down the right field line, 365 in right center, 370 in left center, and 420 dead away center.
So often happens in doubleheaders. The man behind the plate in the first game, Mark Carlson, is the guy that gets the second game off, with Brian Gorman, who did not ump the first game, moving in behind the plate for the nightcap.
And Rob Brantley doing what he did. But Carlos Rodon getting it back to him in a hurry. He is working very fast, and that's out number 2. And here's the man. He did not play in the first game. Miguel Cabrera hitting at .338, 17 homers and 73 driven in.
How about that on base percentage at .441? Batting average, on base percentage leads the American League.
First pitch strike. Well, for me, he is truly worth the price of admission. Being a lifelong baseball man, if I was in the vicinity where he was playing, I would have to go watch that ball game. He has been an artist with that bat. Pretty good pitch right there, and didn't get it.
Well, you're seeing a combination of not only one of the best, but one of the smartest hitters in all of baseball, because he's one of the few guys that can set up a pitcher.
2-2. And a full count. He gone. Couple of strikeouts, 1-2-3 inning, and after 1, no score. Trace Thompson will lead it off for us. It'll be Thompson, Avi, and Mike Olt. Trace comes in at .333, 4 homers, 13 knocked in. An unusual first game. Hit the ball hard 3 times, went 0 for 4, and hit into 3 double plays. One and 0 the count to Trace.
Randy Wolf has been around since 1997. Pretty long run for a left-hander who usually gets the ball over the plate. And if you do that and you stay relatively healthy, you're going to have a long career. Those are the numbers lifetime. His ERA 4.23. A lot of strikeouts, over 1,800.
Anytime you've won over 100 games in the big leagues and you're 10 games over 500, you've had a good career.
And he's had that. His best year probably 2003 with Philadelphia. He was 16-10. 33 starts, a couple of complete games, both of them shutouts. And he threw 200 innings.
That ball hit hard in the right center field. Nobody's going to get that one. Trace now is going to make the turn. And they overthrow the cutoff man, so he'll easily walk into third base with his second triple. That is the correct approach for a right-hander to hit a left-handed pitcher.
This one is going out of just about any other park in baseball but this one, because as that scoreboard juts out, there's a whole lot of room where that ball hit. High off the wall, Rajay Davis airmails the first cutoff man, gets it to Romine, but he threw it over Wilson's head.
So here's Avi. Avi 1 for 3 in the first game. Takes strike one. Avi at 262, 12 homers, 56 driven in.
Wolf is pitching with his 8th team. Philadelphia, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Astros, the Brewers, the Orioles, the Marlins, and now the Tigers.
They'll get the job done. Stretch. Get on back there. JD right in front of the fence makes the catch. Trace tags, and this 1-0 Sox. So with 1 in, 1 out, let's check out our picks to click tonight. Jim Angio, our director and the crew of Leary. He's going with Tyler Saladino and Terry Hanley, Mike Williams, Eric Aldrich, Roger Clare. Now we're going to go with Micah Johnson. So here's Mike Olt. Takes first pitch strike. Avi RBI number 57. Two and 1 to count. And it's 2-2. So Trace in his short time here already, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 4 homers.
There's a peek at some of the future as far as the Sox are concerned. Tyler Saladino, Trace Thompson.
Well, certainly the numbers don't tell it, but certainly our manager and our hitting coach. Oh yeah, they got him. But they note, like in this doubleheader today, Trace has been on the plate 5 times. He's hit the ball hard 4 times. Two down. Sometimes you don't look to the numbers, you look through the numbers in this game. As here is Beckham. Gordon at 204, 4 homers, 18 knocked in. And that ball hit hard into right field. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. Opposite field homer for Beckham, and it's a 2-0 Sox lead. That is his 5th.
Five home runs, 19 driven in. We told you in the first game how relatively easy it is for right-hand hitters who go the opposite way to hit the ball out of the park here. And it's a short porch, not an overly high wall, and Gordon took advantage of it.
So here's Brantley. Pops that one up left side. Here comes Collins. He's there, makes the catch. But not before the home run by Gordon Beckham. Also the triple and the sacrifice fly, and it's 2-0 good guys. JD Martinez will lead it off for Detroit. Takes first pitch strike. JD 0 for 3 in the first game. Hitting at 283, 37 homers and 96 driven in. Count evens.
Pretty big year for a guy that had a lot of pressure that fell to him because of the injuries to Victor Martinez, then the injuries to Miguel Cabrera. And he was left as the lone healthy power threat in this lineup many times. And it's been just a magnificent year for him. And to his twin brother.
2-1. He's popped a few in those seats out there in right field and right center. Boy, especially right-hand hitter against a left-handed pitcher in this ballpark. It is not too difficult. Count hangs at 2-2. Big gap out there in left center. Hit right at him. So Leury is there, makes the play. Hang Wolfham for JD, 1 out.
He hit that ball basically one-handed. Gives you an idea just how much power he has, because that went out there about 370 feet, and he just flicked it.
Line drive at far. So here's Tyler Collins. He had a couple of good at bats, hit the ball hard against Samardzija. Not many guys did. Oh, 0-2.
But regardless of the outcome, Eric is just getting it and throwing it, and throwing lots of strikes.
Broke his bat. Ate him up. 2 down.
Thrown 16 strikes, 9 balls, 25 pitches to get 5 outs. Not too bad. A couple of strikeouts mixed in there, and no walks, the most important number.
So here's Nick Castellanos. Takes ball 1.
You're a big fan of not throwing him anything down.
He's throwing some down. And good chance he's going to have a good pass at it. There's the strike. '70 RBIs for this youngster. He's just 23 years old. Belt high, and he had a good pass at that one. A little bit further down, and probably going to hit it hard to right center. Close pitch, didn't get it. Full count.
Alex Avila in the on-deck circle.
He gone. 6 up, 6 down, 3 strikeouts for Eric, and he leads it 2-0. Game 2 of this day-night doubleheader. Leury Garcia, then back to the top of the order with Micah Johnson, and then Tyler Saladino. Leury 2 for 10 since being called up. Good player to have on your ball club, especially with the roster situation the way it is with the bullpen today.
You can get a guy that can play shortstop, second or third, and center field. You're in pretty good shape.
Better believe it. And can run like he can. He still does not develop. He stole 25 bases down to Charlotte, but that's not good for him with that speed he's got. He just has to keep working on his technique. So here's Micah Johnson. Hit a little ground ball to Romine at short, and if he doesn't trip, he's going to beat it out. But he did trip, and he was thrown out. Yeah, the all-purpose player. Where's Tony Phillips when you need him? Tony, one of the better. Tony Phillips played with us for a while, played with other clubs. So for you youngsters out there, he can play anywhere. Anywhere you put him, Tony Phillips could play, and he was a real good 7th, 8th, and 9th inning hitter.
So incredibly important these days for the simple reason that a lot of teams feel comfortable carrying 13 pitchers. That means you're going to have 8 guys in your bullpen, which means you're going to have 5 starters, which means you're going to have a very limited amount of moves off your bench for your manager. And it helps if one guy can play everywhere.
Well, you're going to have 2 moves. Yeah, that's it. Unless you got that Tony Phillips or that Leury Garcia or an all-purpose player.
Well, you have the rare backup catcher who can actually play a few different positions. You don't find too many of those. There are a few around.
One-two pitch.
Wolf still able to get that fastball up there at 90 miles an hour, which isn't bad for a guy 39 years old and a guy never really known as a fastballer.
Full count. Fouled, and that's going to be in the seats for a souvenir. Yeah, the days, that's another area that baseball is changing. The areas that they're changing in. The days of the quote, quote, 4th outfielder, 5th infielder, those days are fading.
You hope that he's the same guy.
Exactly.
Your 5th infielder, your 4th infielder, 5th outfielder, if he's the same guy, you're in pretty good shape.
Fading. Yep. Right on the corner, good pitch. 2 down.
Join us at U.S. Cellular Field on Saturday, October 3rd, as the White Sox host the Tigers at 6:10. First 10,000 fans will receive an exclusive stretch sale action figure. For tickets or more information, visit whitesox.com.
Here's Saladino. He had a hard comebacker that Wolf made a good snab on. And along with that home run by Carlos Sanchez in the first game, and the home run in this game by Gordon Beckham, the Alex Snellius family, and Christine O'Reilly will hook up once again with White Sox charities in loving memory of Ursula.
There is a big series going on in Toronto. It's the Yankees at the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays lead 3-0. They also lead by 2.5 games in the American League East.
There's a shot. Attaboy, Tyler. Down into the corner. He's going to go ahead and turn it. And he's going to go into third base with his triple. That's his third triple. It's just a good piece of hitting here.
He just goes the opposite way, and Wolf's problem was he got that ball up and out over the plate. You get it down in the same spot, you might get that ground ball to the right side, but this one just hugged the wall all the way, and that's all it took for Tyler, who had to play in front of him, to hustle into third base.
So here's Abreu. Did a little soft comebacker to Randy Wolf. With all the names in these two lineups here, you got your Abreu's, you got your Miguel Cabrera's, you got J.D. Martinez, you had Victor Martinez. 2 home runs in this by Sanchez and Becker.
2 big sluggers.
Tell you what, I love this game. Anybody tells you they know this game, they are full of it up to their ears. It's too beautiful to know. Think you've seen that inning we saw last week? Think you've seen it all? Not even close.
What I love about it is, in all the games that have been played over many, many years, you still have a chance every day to see something that you've never seen before in baseball, and usually happens 3, 4, 5 times a year.
There's a shot, base hit, and it's 3-0. More importantly, as he's on his way to second, good throw's going to get him. But the ball comes out, and he's safe. Picks up his 34th double and his 96th RBI.
And with every run driven in, getting closer to that 100 mark, 1 away from the 30 mark. And that would enable him to join Albert Pujols in a very exclusive club that only one person inhabits at the current time, and that's Albert Pujols. 30+ home runs, 100+ runs batted in his first 2 years in the game.
So here's Trace. He had a great approach in his first at bat, leading off last inning. A deep drive in the right center field for a triple, and scored on Avi's sacrifice fly. Don't stop now. Pick him up. Yeah, in this game they come in all sizes and shapes, and this is one game that little guys are not afraid of big guys.
No, you get MVPs like Dustin Pedroia. Dustin probably, if you want to stretch it, 5'8".
If you missed that triple by Trace, leading off last inning, here's the approach he put on it. Perfect. Very seldom you see a right-handed player who you say is graceful. Most of the time they're left-handed. Trace certainly a graceful player. That ball hit off the fist. But the 2 out. Double by Abreu knocks in Saladino, who triples, and it's 3-0. 3-0 Sox. Here in the bottom of the third inning, it'll be Alex Avila, Josh Wilson, and Andrew Romine. Face Eric Johnson, who's retired all 6 with 3 strikeouts. Alex having another injury-plagued season as he takes a strike that was called a ball.
And it's,
no, he called it a strike.
It's Alex's dad, Al, that has taken over as a new general manager of this team.
Well, sometimes you would think that would put more pressure on Alex.
I don't think it can be all that easy.
There's his dad. Signed a nice 5-year contract, and deservedly so. Talking to some Tiger people here, they all really like Al Avila. 1-2 the count. When Alex is healthy, he is a good one.
When he's healthy, he'll wear out left center field. And even though in the infield there's a severe shift because he's a pull hitter on the ground, he used to crush the ball to left center field.
Well, he hit it out of the ballpark.
Yep.
Checks it up. The count evens at 2. Full count. Notice how Alex is making him slow up. That ball's hit hard into left center field. And it's out of here. It's a 3-1 ball game.
That's exactly what we were talking about, taking the ball the other way. That's just his 4th home run of the year. He's driven in 12.
Well, he hit at his pace right there. He was not getting in and allowing Eric to go at his pace. He changed it. He slowed it up.
That ball was on the outer third. It was a fastball, and it goes into the bullpen. And the Tigers score for the first time today.
So here's the 34-year-old veteran infielder, Josh Wilson. Takes a strike and the count 0-2. He gone. All right, we talked in the first game about Eric making a start tonight and how he has got a little routine going for himself. And here it is. This is one before he goes. He steps in front of the mound. That's one. He'll do it twice, and then he'll move back to the mound, to the rubber. Just a little routine that he's gotten into, and it certainly seems like it bodes well for him as International League Pitcher of the Year. And he's throwing the ball well up here. Hitters have their routines, pitchers have theirs. Romine, a switch hitter, hitting at .255, a couple of homers, 15 knocked in. That's softly hit, and there's a Kansas City special, just dumps it out far enough to where nobody can get there.
It was very similar to the only hit of the ball game in the first game, only off the bat of Victor Martinez, it went into left center field. Same type of hit exactly as this one, just a little bit too far for Johnson, not quite far enough for Garcia or Garcia.
Here's Rajai Davis. He struck out, leading off the bottom of the first inning. Really shows you just how much power he does have to the opposite field. That's a long way where he hit that one for a left-handed hitter.
We're talking to his father about how he developed his reputation of being so good a handler of pitchers and calling a good game. He talked to me about back in college.
Well, Davis muscles that one in too, as Leury makes a good play to get to it and get him back in. But one out, runners at the corners.
This is a hanging slider, one of the few that Eric has hung in Rajai Davis. Drops it into right center field. Now you have to pay close attention to him on the base paths.
18 for 23. So here's Kinsler. He is a solid RBI guy. He's open when he popped up to Micah Johnson. And that's going to get the job done. And it's a 3-2 ball game.
RBI number 71. And for a guy that hits routinely at the top of the order, that's a pretty good number.
Now, last year he drove in 92, hit first or second. So here's Cabrera. Miguel struck out.
It's interesting. We'll see how it plays out in this at bat. Johnson struck out Cabrera on one fastball away and another fastball that was on the outer third. Let's see if he's looking for it out there this at bat.
Besides being a great hitter, he just loves to play this game. He has fun. Treats it like it's still a kid's game. Long set now. Oh boy. Gamesmanship. Rajai with a decent lead over there. Three, 4-0 for us, 2, 3-0 for them here in the bottom of the third inning. There he goes. He gone. And he wants a Ajay wants a review.
Brad Ausmus is going to be checking, and we'll wait and see if he gets a thumbs up or thumbs down on the replay.
That's very, very close. Very, very close. Only got him on the hip. So they're not going to review it. And that'll end the inning. Caught stealing. But they come up with 2 and trail it by 1. In a 3-2 Sox lead. It'll be Garcia, Holt, and Beckham. Ivy sacrifice fly in the second, knocking in Trace Thompson, who led off the inning with a triple. Ivy now 12 homers, 57 driven in. Softly hit down to third.
White Sox fans, celebrate your culture with Hispanic Heritage Night on October 2nd, presented by Miller Lite. There's going to be Latin music and dancing, special activities for kids, an on-field parade, and a post-game fireworks show. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, the official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Tickets start as low as $10, so visit whitesox.com/NHH.
There's a big curveball that misses. Mike, a strikeout victim in the second inning. Two-0 pitch. Everybody's trying to keep the ball up on Mike with the fastball.
See, the last pitch, probably not quite as inside as Randy Wolf would have liked. That's exactly where he wanted to throw it, which was up and in.
Right underneath his hands. And that's popped up. And Cabrera makes the catch. So 2 down.
Our fourth drive of the game came off the bat of Gordon Beckham, opposite field home run. His 5th. Time it made it 3-0.
He put a terrific swing on that, and we'll show you why after this on a foul ball, maybe. There is a strike. Outfield straight up, spaced about equidistant. There's a foul ball. Let's take another look at that home run. So watch how he keeps his hands in front of him. It's short. Watch where his hands go in relationship to his chest here. Stay right in front of it. He doesn't get past that left shoulder. If you can finish there, you put a short, quick swing on it. The longer that swing, the slower the bat. Here's the 1-2. David Price on the bump for the Blue Jays against Adam Warren in that game up in Toronto. Full count. Well, the Yankees took a big hit, losing Teixeira.
Both offensively and defensively.
He did not go. Good at bat, good check.
Cardinals took a pretty big hit, and they don't know how long he's going to be out, but Yadier Molina, partially torn ligament in his thumb. On a play at the plate, he tagged out Rizzo, and it helped the Cardinals win the ball game, but they might have lost the war without their leader.
Well, if there's anywhere in the world, forget about the pain, he can handle that. He'll be in there. He is he's a true gamer, that Yadier.
And he's really the leader of that Cardinals team.
Yes, he is. Rob popped up to left field. Joe McEwen going through his sequence. One on, 2 out. Two balls, 2 strikes. Pitch at 80.
Little soft breaking ball that he threw in a perfect spot. It was just barely off the outside corner.
Rob way out in front. Out and around that one. Josh Wilson makes the play. And that'll retire the side. We still lead at 3-2. plate when Rajai Davis got a decent jump. And Rob Brantley just gunned him down at second base. That pitch taken down low. Leadoff single.
One thing you can't do with a hitter the caliber of Cabrera is continue to stay away from him. And that's what, unfortunately, Eric had done both at bats. In fact, all 3 times he was up. Including the time he was left standing there, he stayed away. And that time, low and away, he took it right back up the middle for a base hit.
Well, the majority of great hitters that I have seen in over a half century in this game, the majority, the vast majority, when you had to get them out, it had to be underneath their hands. It had to be inside. You stay away from Cabrera and he will beat your brains out.
Well, there's no doubt. You get him looking away and don't make him cognizant of the inside pitch, you get big, big problems.
You get some guys that were really good. Mike Schmidt was really a good inside hitter who could hit it out of the ballpark and keep it fair because he led so hard with his left elbow. As that's high off the bat of J.D. Martinez. Ivy makes the catch for out number 1. But Mike had such strong hands and he kept the bat in front of him. Mike Schmidt, third baseman for the Phillies. Well over 500 home runs and a Hall of Famer. Tyler Collins.
That was a good straight change and one of the few that Eric has thrown. He's got to start mixing those in a little bit more. It's going to make his fastball look a whole lot better.
Leury Garcia in center if you're just joining us. Adam Eaton getting the evening off. Adam 2 for 4 with an RBI in game 1. Extended his hitting streak to 10 games. One-two pitch. He gone. He knew it.
He just got fooled by a fastball down the middle.
5 strikeouts now for Eric.
Apparently expecting just about anything else except that one. Let's split the middle of the plate, and he has a seat.
So here's Castellanos. 23-year-old third baseman. Takes first pitch strike. B pitch right on the corner at the knees.
That was the pitch.
I was getting ready to say, you keep messing around down there, and you're going to get hurt with this guy.
I think he might have looked back at Brian Gorman and said, that was my pitch. He got the ball down, took a wicked cut, an uppercut swing, and fortunately fouled it back.
There's definitely a guy you got to throw underneath his hands with that fastball. And of course, if you're going to pitch a lot of guys underneath their hands, you're going to hit some guys. But that's it's not because you're trying to hit them. You just missed inside, or else they turned into it. Full count with 2 down.
Now Olt is going to play behind Cabrera at first base. Yeah, worried about his blazing speed. You want to get a better angle if he goes down there with a ground ball.
Ball hit hard. They can't hang on to it. So now they're going to hold Cabrera.
If Cabrera had 2 good legs, he probably would have scored easily. But Dave Clark knows that he's just not even close to 100%. He's still feeling the effects of going from first to third. This is a fastball down. And Castellanos hits it hard.
You can't. It's simple. You cannot pitch Castellanos down. If you do, he's going to hit the ball hard.
Now they're talking with Miguel. He's just had ankle, foot, calf problems consistently. And that's one of the reasons why Dave Clark, the third base coach, just held him right there. So it's a 2-base hit for Castellanos.
And here comes Coop. Alex Avila will be the hitter. He hit a long home run, leading off last inning.
I was talking about Alex, and one of the reasons why he was able to handle pitchers and call the game. That's because, unlike many of his college counterparts, his coach at Alabama trusted him so much that he let him call the game. There's a lot of college coaches these days that take that completely out of the catcher's hands. Catchers never really learn how to call a game because they never have to call it. Alex did at Alabama, and when he got to the big leagues, he knew how to call a game and did it very well. Unfortunately, the injuries have gotten the better of him.
Well, that starts in high school. Coaches will not let the catcher, they call the game. They don't let the catchers call them. I mean, it's crazy. Want to know the count. And this looks like it might be a pitch around right here with first base open after that long opposite field home run. Three and 0. And here was that home run if you missed it.
This ball out away and gone.
They could have just put up 4.
Yeah, I mean, that instead of worrying about throwing the baseball, you might as well just put them on. Because those were so far wide of the plate. Certainly wasn't going to swing at that.
So here's Josh Wilson. Struck out his first trip. Sox packed with Tigers. 2 out.
Not a great deal of speed on the base paths.
Close. Could have gone either way. It's a big pitch right here. In the scheme of things, the 1-1. Got a break. Checked it up on a bad pitch. And now it is 1-2.
We're with the bases loaded for Josh Wilson. Not overly impressive.
Don't speed his bat up right here unless it's down the way. Let her high for 1 away. Down to where he could get to it. Thank goodness he was underneath it.
He was sailing along pretty well pitch wise until running into a speed bump this inning. Pitch number 26 on the way.
Bob keeps it in front of him. Take him right here. You don't want to go full. Once again, the 2-2. There, he got one up. He can't get up there. Meanwhile, that'll retire the side.
onto WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, and that's more than any other university in the state. So for more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
We have completed 4, and we lead it 3-2. 3-4-0 for us, 2-5-0 for them. So it'll be Leury Garcia, then back to the top of the order with Micah Johnson. Getting back to catchers calling their own games. The biggest thing that coaches have to look out for in allowing catchers to call the game, and one reason that 90% of them don't allow it, is because most of the time catchers, if they don't know how to call a game at the major league level down below, they will call a game the way they're swinging the bat.
And as we know, that's not the #1 priority.
Exactly right. That's the reason that most managers don't allow the catchers to call the games. And there have been catchers in my time zone, not so much today, and in your time zone, who you didn't hit off the pitcher, you hit off the catcher, the way he was swinging the bat.
They have as many tendencies as pitchers had, and a lot of times the guy didn't catch very well, and I threw to one guy that didn't throw particularly well to second base. So when he got one of their runners on first, you could almost take it to the bank that #1 was coming.
There you go.
And a hitter can sit back and he can just look for a fastball because you got a base stealer on.
He got it. 1 out. I remember we had a catcher in this organization used to do that. Every time there was somebody who could run decent, hear that fastball comes.
#1. Yeah, you get hit pretty hard if the hitters pick that up, and they usually do very early.
There's a ground ball by Micah Johnson. Miguel over to Randy Wolf, 2 down. Johnson now 0 for 3.
Join Harold Baines, Abisail Garcia, and Carlos Sanchez on November 28th for the Sox on the Beach Apple Vacation. This 7-night all-inclusive hotel stay will be at the Iberostar Paraíso del Mar in beautiful Riviera Maya, Mexico. There's going to be a private welcome party and an autograph session. Visit applevacations.com/White Sox to book your trip today.
But you know what the managers and the coaches have to do at that time to get them over the hump of that is watch them for a while and then see if they fall into that pattern. And if they do, then you sit them down and you talk to them. Look, this is what you're doing. So now they get that and you get them over that hump. Now they start calling the ball game. Saladino, 1 for 2, a triple and a run scored. That was his 3rd triple. Shot down into the right field corner. Curveball could have gone either way. Went Tyler's way.
I think Randy Wolf wanted that last one.
I don't want to went across the plate. It was a strike.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Especially with that big overhand hook.
Three and 1. He didn't want to do that. 2-out walk to Tyler, and here comes Abreu. Second walk issued by Randy. Abreu hit a hard comebacker. Check that. That was Saladino hit the hard comebacker. Then Abreu, the next hitter, hit a soft comebacker to Wolf. But then, in the 3rd inning, he ripped it double in the left center field to knock in Tyler. Decent lead. as Jose takes the strike. Brady now 34 doubles to go along with those 3 triples, 29 homers, and 96 RBIs. And continues to lead the league in RBIs on the road. That could have gone either way, and it went Wolf's way. So 0-2 the count. And he might want to double him up.
He tried to get in there.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't quite get there. He was able to fight it off.
Well, when he's going to, I don't know if he's going to go away with us, but when he's going to try to get him out, it's going to try to be right there. He's got good enough moxie and control to get close like he did on that one.
Just barely able to fight it off, and that was way inside.
Yeah.
That time he cut the fastball inside.
Down hangs it. 0-2. There goes Tyler. He picks up stolen base. Number 8. Tyler probably has the best technique of stealing a base of anybody on our club. He was 25 for 27 when he was doing it. Sharp.
That goes as a wild pitch.
He was off.
I know. I can't. Apparently, the official scorer wasn't taking a close look. He saw that it was in the dirt and gave him the wild pitch.
We have seen some seedy official scoring. There he goes back inside again on him. 2-2. That curveball got him, and that'll retire the side. We're halfway home, leading 3-2. Home half of the 5th inning. It'll be Romine, then back to the top of the order with Rajai Davis as that pitch is high and wide. Romine has singled and he has scored. Two and 0 the count. Beautiful timing play by Saladino. 1 out. We're going to show you that pitch pattern to Abreu here from a crafty southpaw. He only had one pitch that he could do anything with, and he missed it. The rest of them out of the zone, unhittable, and finally got him with a slow curveball down, way down out of the zone. That's one reason he's won 133 games, and he still is out there on the bump at 39 years old. Rajai has struck out and he has singled, and he was caught stealing. Come back and get it. 3-0 the count. There's one. And it's full. That Toronto Yankee game still 3-0 Blue Jays. That's after 4 at the Rogers Center. High, foul, and unplayable. Mets leading Atlanta 2-0. That's in the bottom of the 5th at Citi Field.
Cespedes is 2 for 2. And now 3 for 3. And what a boost he has given to the New York Mets offense.
It's contagious. The guy in there driving and runs. All of a sudden David Wright comes back. And he walks him, so he walked the wrong guy. Although Rob Brantley did nail him earlier. Second walk issued by Eric.
Hey, Sox fans, check out the Xfinity Fundamentals deck overlooking left field at U.S. Cellular Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels, so to learn baseball fundamentals from White Sox Training Academy coaches, you can learn about hitting and pitching in the cages, base running areas, and more. All from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
There's a strike, and he didn't get it. Gensler has popped a second and has a sacrifice fly, picking up his 71st RBI. To show you the kind of game that Jeff Samardzija pitched in the opener. This next pitch will be number 94 for Eric. Samardzija pitching that one-hit shutout through 88 pitches. 60 of them were strikes.
Pretty amazing job overall, as aggressive as he was.
He didn't have many 2-0 counts.
No, well, a lot of the hitters wouldn't allow him to get there.
Nope.
He was throwing first pitch for a strike. They were swinging at the first or second pitch consistently.
Davis, just a very short lead for him. He usually has that worst but decent lead.
you would think for a base stealer, and that he is, he would try to get as big a lead as he possibly can and make Eric show him his best move to first base.
Well, for a base stealer, if they don't check that out on video before the game, something's wrong with them.
There you see, including the one tonight where he was cut down in the third inning, he's 18 for 24. Now Omar Vizquel has a couple of words with him.
Now he stretches it out to a pretty good lead. And that's fouled back over their dugout. Souvenir.
That was a rolling slider that fortunately Kinsler got around way too early.
Bigger lead now. He fakes it. And he gone.
So 2 down, and that'll bring up Cabrera. 7 strikeouts now for Eric.
He takes a good healthy cut and no contact, and I think he was a little surprised that he missed that one because he's a terrific fastball hitter. That one was not overwhelming, but Kinsler is really unhappy.
Cabrera struck out his first trip, singles into center, leading off last inning. To the count.
That fourth inning with 28 pitches certainly padded that total, which is right at the 100 mark.
There's a chopper. Bag, the pick, the out, and we'll go to the 6th, still leading 3-2.
$9 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Trace Thompson, Avi Garcia, and Mike Olt to face the cagey veteran Randy Wolf. Slow curveball high. There's the bullet. Boy, that ball was absolutely scalded. So he's going to lead it off with his 8th two-bagger.
Castellanos had 0 chance for that. That ball got by him so quickly he hardly had a chance to dive. Tried to cut it inside, couldn't get it there. See Castellanos off the line. This ball is actually by him by the time he dives.
All right, Avi, get him over. And in trying to do so, you just might be able to hit one of those seats out there and right. Now they want to have a little confab with Alex Avila and Randy Wolf. Just looking at Trace out there. Played with a guy, I can't remember his name. The only way I remember his nickname was High Pockets. Trace got some high pockets. At the bottom of the zone, could have gone either way. Goes Avi's way. Two and 0 the count.
Looks like for the first time the Detroit bullpen is going to start to work.
This will be the 85th pitch. There's one. Goes Randy Wolf's way. Outfield straight up, spread out, about equidistant. And a count 3-1.
Ian Kroll loosening up, and with him looks like a right-hander is going to start to work also.
That's ball 4. So that's the 3rd walk issue.
Hey, Sox fans, all season long you can score with Papa John's Pizza. The day after the Sox score 5 or more runs, you get 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com. Of course, you have to use the promo code SOX5. That's at all participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. So Jeff Jones comes out. He wants a word, as Randy Wolf seems to be, if not close to empty, at least running low on fuel. The right-hander is Farrell loosening up.
Ian Kroll out of Naperville. One in Hinsdale. But right here, we got some work to do. 2 on, nobody out. Curveball comes back to catch the outside corner. Mike has struck out and fouled out to Cabrera. Oh, watch out. Rack him up. 2 down.
There was a break on an excuse me swing. Slow curveball right back over the mound, and pretty easy after that. Wilson, although he doesn't make a good throw, Cabrera saves him at first. Gordon Beckham draws an intentional walk. And as you might assume, that's intentional walk number 1.
Gordon, well, why not? He homered. Opposite field back in the 2nd inning.
He's yet to retire. I mean, you got the left-hander in the on-deck circle, so the prudent move is to put him on.
That'll bring up Brantley. Rob has popped up to left and grounded out to Wilson at second. Outfield pretty stationary, playing everybody just about the same, really. Not much movement out there. And Collins in left, Davis in center, and Martinez in right. Watch out. Want to know the count. Now he's got the catbird seat. 2 balls, no strikes. Trying to feel that swing. I wants to get the bat, head, and the path to the ball. He got it there. It was a little tardy. 2-1. Soft fly into right field. So we get the first 2 guys on, nobody out, and can't do anything with it, but we still lead it 3-2. Here at the bottom of the 6th inning, it'll be J.D. Martinez, Tyler Collins, and Castellanos. There's ball 1. J.D. is lined out to Leury Garcia in center, and he's gone out to right. Breaking ball strike.
There you look at the numbers, 7 strikeouts and 5+.
Not looking at those. I'm looking at that Michigan lottery, $235 million.
You got a shot.
Well, you can't, Steve. You can't win unless you play.
That's true, but that's not only the Michigan. That's the Powerball. You can play that anywhere.
Well, we happen to be in Michigan.
That's true. Yeah, but you know the tax structure. I don't know. You got to wind up paying taxes in a lot of different places, and just win it and move to Washington State. No state taxes.
Be gone. 8 strikeouts now for Erie.
That fastball was right down the middle. Dan Jennings loosening in the pen.
Collins has grounded to first, and he has struck out. He was called out on a fastball right there.
Wind is starting to kick up somewhat. It's going to be a little more difficult to hit a home run with that wind blowing in from left center field, right at home plate. Still going to go out easily if you pull it to right, however.
That's into left field. Trace, he's there, makes the catch, loses his footing. But a good play.
I think he is
a great play, a good play.
No, he's motioning that he lost in the lights for a second because that was not a line. That was not a line drive that got up above the lights. Right here, he's looking at it, and you can see when he catches the ball, he's not looking at the baseball. He put his glove where he thought the ball would be, and it was an educated guess, and the ball nestled in the glove.
Yeah, Trace is not one of those guys to make a decent catch and try to make it look great.
No, he battled that one.
I was watching the game the other day, National League game. Outfield caught the ball maybe 15, 20 feet from the fence.
And then ran into the fence?
Ran into it.
Yeah, that's good.
Castellanos has struck out, and he has doubled. Picked up his 27th double. Got a low fastball and hit it hard into right field. Bobby got a glove on it, couldn't hold it. And the count 1-2.
That was one of the better sliders that Eric has thrown. Running the needle on the outside corner.
That one just missed. He gone. Nice job. Nice job by Eric Johnson. He leads to 3-2.
debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Top of the 7th inning. Game 2 of this day-night doubleheader. If you're just tuning in, we won game 1 2-0. Jeff Samardzija allowed one broken bat little single over the shortstop's head by Victor Martinez. That's the only base runner they had in that whole ball game. He threw 88 pitches. 2-8-0 for us, 0-1-0 for them. So here's Leury. Leury 0 for 2. He has grounded to short and struck out. There's a strike. Fury says what? It could have gone either way. But it went Wolf's way. And this will be pitch number 100 for the 39-year-old veteran. And it was a slow curveball that missed outside. Sharply to Wilson. 1 out.
Eric with 9 strikeouts. Here's the 9th, and that ties his career high.
He's back. There's no doubt about that.
Been very aggressive once again here tonight.
Micah fakes the bunt and takes that curveball outside and down.
First 2 starts for Randy Wolf this year. He went 7 innings in both of them. And the last 3 starts, he's gone 3 2/3, 4 1/3, and 3 innings. So this is a welcome sight for Brad Osmus.
Big hit. Micah is grounded to short, struck out, and grounded out 3-1. That's going foul. Also in that first game, if you missed it, Carlos Sanchez with 2 out, doubled in the 3rd, and Adam Eaton singled him home. And then in the 6th, leading off, Carlos Sanchez cranked out his 5th homer. So he scored both and drove in 1. One and 2. Two down.
White Sox fans, Sox Fest 2016 runs January 29th through the 31st at the Hilton Chicago. You can score an autograph or photo with your favorite current player or coach. And there also will be a lot of White Sox greats in attendance. You can play games, win prizes, and shop for White Sox gear. And it'll be going all weekend. It's a weekend you don't want to miss. Tickets go on sale Wednesday, September 23rd at 10 a.m. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/SoxFest.
So here's Tyler. Tyler had a hard comebacker to Randy Wolf. That was in the 1st inning. He tripled and scored in the 3rd. He walked in the 5th. Made a terrific timing leap on a line drive off the bat of Andrew Romine.
Drops the hook on him. The blueprint. Just a couple inches higher, and the count 0-2. Tries to heat him up with a 89-mile-an-hour fastball. Amazing what soft tossing left-handers have done to our club.
And here's another one that really falls into that category.
Seventh inning stretch. 3-2 White Sox.
The scoreboard and the schedule. We got a new pitcher coming in the game, and it is Dan Jennings. Jennings 2-3, his ERA 4.24, on for the 47th time. There you look at the numbers. He's going to face the bottom third of the order, leading it off with Alex Avila. So the night is done for Eric Johnson, who went 6, gave up the 2 runs on 5 hits. He walked just 2 and fanned a career high tying 9. So another good outing. The 4th pretty solid outing for Eric Johnson.
Well, it's certainly noticeable, and you can see why he was voted the International Pitcher of the Year.
I thought, in fact, this time out, his stuff looked more like the first 2 times out. Last time it was okay. Tonight he had very good stuff.
First pitch strike to Alex. Alex has homered, long home run opposite field, and he's walked. And the count 0-2.
Nate Jones loosening up in the pen.
Yeah, if there's any problems here, you want him for Davis, Kinsley, and Cabrera.
Randy Wolf did quite a job talking it over with Justin Verlander.
Well, does it surprise you? Really?
No, a soft tossing left-hander?
No, that's right. You get one out there and he's going to give us trouble. He can get a breaking ball or a changeup over. Soft tossing left-hander is going to give us trouble. And if you're a soft tossing left-hander in the major leagues, they better get one or both of those over. Two balls, two strikes. Too much time. If you're just tuning in, we scored 2 in the second, 1 in the third. They scored 2 in the third. 3-5-0 for us, 2-5-0 for him. We have stranded 5. They have stranded 4. Yap out there in right center. Had him 0-2. It is now full. That could have gone either way, and it went Avila. So he had him 0-2 and walks the leadoff man. And here comes Robin. He's going to go get Nate. So Dan, a little too careful there with Alex after having him down in the count 0-2. He'll depart. Nate Jones comes on, and we'll be back.
unique prizes, including a jersey autographed by the 2005 White Sox, tickets to Fan Appreciation Day on October 4th, and more. Visit whitesox.com/summer sweeps. And so Nate Jones comes into the ball game at 1-2. His ERA 3.86, on for the 17th time. And just before he went up there, Josh Wilson had a talk with Wally Joyner, their hitting coach. Now, he hasn't been asked to lay down a sacrifice this year.
He is right now.
You would think so.
you can, yeah, you would definitely think so.
Jeffrey Marte comes on. He started the first game. He comes on as a pinch runner.
Marte, just a short lead over there right now. He'll stretch it out another 3/4 of a step. So he takes the ball. 1-0. Got to play this. Oh. All right. One out.
This ball is bunted too hard, and Mike Gold actually has a shot.
Well, he had to play it second.
Right here by plenty. When you see him get the baseball, he turns around, and Marte is halfway.
He had to play a second. It's that simple. I mean, had to play it second. Well, we talked about it the other day. 90% of the time, a right-handed throwing first baseman will come in. He'll field a bunt, look to second, go to first.
Then Nate Jones left the divot that they had to repair on the right side. And Romine will turn around and hit from the left side.
He is 1 for 2. Saladino made a real good play on him, as there is a ground ball. 2 down. And that'll bring up Rajai Davis. He has been a thorn in our derriere for a few years late in the ball game, either with his legs or his bat.
And if Rob decides to call a slider, the one thing that he has got to do is smother a ball in the dirt. Nate throws a 90-mile-an-hour slider, and if he doesn't keep it airborne, it's pretty tough to handle.
First pitch strike. All right. Tyler's got him. Yes. So Nate gets the job done, and we're into the 8th, still leading 3-2. guys, 2-5-0 for the bad guys. Gary Johnson was good. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 9 punch-outs. Back on solo home run. That was an opposite field shot coming in the 2nd inning. And that is our on the game summary. And a pitching change coming in for the veteran Randy Wolf is Alex Wilson. Randy Wolf, a good job. 7 innings, 3 runs, 4 walks, 1 intentional, 6 strikeouts. So it's Abreu, Trace Thompson, and Avi Garcia. First pitch strike right on the outside edge of the outside corner.
James McCann is the man that they anticipate to be their catcher of the future, and he's a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's a good-looking young catcher, but he's going to have to wait as long. If Alex Avila can stay healthy, he's going to have to wait for a while. If he can't stay healthy, that's another story.
Well, between concussions and the beating that he takes, because nobody takes a bigger beating behind the plate than Alex Avila.
Not that we see.
No, he takes a tremendous beating.
You might tie him in that beating category, but you're not going to beat him getting beat up. Two 1 pitch. That could be. Oh man,
no, he's safe.
We're going to have to watch that one again.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's safe at first. But let's see. He's walking back to the dugout.
Robin came to the top step now.
Well, he doesn't want. There's no way that he wants Thompson to step in the batter's box.
He's not going to review it.
Nope. He says they got him by the narrowest of margins. Phew.
Well, there is the runner. If you go to the front of the bag, you're going to beat it. If you go to the middle of the bag like he did, by the time that heel gets down, it's cost you a half a step. That's down to third base.
Our monster replay is what's proven to be at this point the deciding base hit. It's a double coming up the bat of Jose Abreu. And this was in the 3rd inning. That was the 3rd run, and it is a 3-2 game.
That made it a 3-0 game. See our buddy George Jacobs usually comes over here to Detroit at the ball game. What a Sox fan he is.
And with the warm weather in that jacket, he's probably lost 70 pounds this season.
95 degrees, he's still got that M&M jacket on. I say that M&M jacket, all Sox fans know that M&M jacket. There he is. Two out, 1-2 to count. Ivy, a sacrifice fly, a ground out to third, and a base on balls. 2-2.
Wilson came over along with Gabe Spire and Yoenis Cespedes for Rick Porcello. Seemed like a pretty good trade. Because Porcello is scuffling through a tough year.
That's foul ball. That bat out there, that might be the farthest you'll ever see.
That went out to medium left field, way past the shortstop.
I've never seen one further than that.
Well, the head of the bat just goes flying. I'll be pretty much hoping that ball swirls into foul territory. It did just that. Better out there than in the stands.
Every time I see a bat explode like that, I think about Greg Nettles at Yankee Stadium. Greg Nettles was a terrific third baseman for the New York Yankees. This bat exploded one day and had 5 little rubber balls come bouncing out of it.
Yeah, the Super Balls. That'll make your bat a little livelier.
Knowing Greg with that sense of humor he had, he was very dry like Robbins. I didn't know they were there. That's fair. All right, we'll go to the bottom of the 8th, still leading by 1.
Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
Here comes the iron, the heart of this Tiger order. Kinsler, Miguel Cabrera, J.D. Martinez.
One of the guys they got sitting on that bench is Victor Martinez, who did not start the second game. He did start the first game.
Kinsler for 2 with a sacrifice fly. He's changed his approach a little bit late. Victor, of course, had the only hit that Samardzija gave up, and that was a little broken bat flare over the shortstop's head, a Kansas City special. That's fair ball. Tagged him. He gone. 1 out.
That goes to you. That ball spins into fair territory, and Rob alertly jumps on it, puts a tag on him, and see you later, Ian. Nice talking to you. Come again tomorrow.
There's Cabrera, strikeout, a single. And then Beckham got him on a good play. One and one to count. Oh yeah. One and two. And that one at 98. That slider, previous pitch was at 88.
They tried to get everything he had into that, and he spun around. Didn't look particularly happy as he.
Almost
Hopefully,
looked like he hurt himself.
I would say, hopefully he's okay.
He gone. Two down.
That slider into the ground, and nice job by Brantley. This is a tough ball to handle.
Well, we said it in the first series. And look at the number he's still leading the league in hitting by a large. That just shows you how great he is, because his swing is not the same as it's been.
I don't think he's entirely healthy. I don't think he's been healthy for quite some time.
His swing has not been the same as it's been all year long, and he's still leading the league in hitting. JD is lined hard to center, going out to right, and struck out, called out.
Deli Feliz and Bruce Rondon loosening in the pen.
Pretty good pitch right there, didn't get it. That part of the zone. They haven't had a lot of the zone. 1 and 2. Tyler Collins, the on deck hitter. He gone. Gas at 97, and we're into the ninth.
grand scheme of things. The strikeout of Cabrera, the nice block by Brantley, and a strikeout of Martinez ends the 8th inning. And Nate Jones walks off after 2 strong innings, and he still got the lead 3-2. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Bruce Rondon. First pitch to Michael, taken for a ball. Rondon, they got him listed as 6'3", 275.
Hard throwing right-hander. On for the 35th time, but hasn't been a successful year for him. There was a time when he routinely threw the ball over 100 miles an hour. He's been called on to save 9 games. He's been successful 5 times, which is not a good percentage.
Out of Valencia, Venezuela. One hopper. That is 4 consecutive ground balls hit to Castellanos at third base.
David Robertson loosening up in the pen.
Here's Beckham. He's 1 for 1, a homer, 2 walks, 1 intentional. Takes a breaking ball strike. One and one to count. Straight back.
After 1 had scored in the second, Gordon takes his ball to right field. Martinez can only look up. And at the time, it made it 2-0.
Two and two the count. That one at 94. That's can of corn. 2 down. So here's Rob Brantley. He's 0 for 3. He's popped to left, grounded to second, and gone out to right. Come on, Rob. This is the guy you want right here.
His contributions tonight have been defensively. He's blocked everything, called a good game, kept Eric Johnson in his rhythm, made a good throw to second base.
He did the same thing the other night with Carlos Rodon. Kept him in his rhythm. Get it, throw it, get it, and throw it, get it, and throw it, get it, and throw it. Especially with young pitchers, you don't want them thinking out there. Good rip.
Another good rip. Well, a little quick. The ball hit a long way. Right size, wrong shape. Collins, Castellanos, and McCann schedule hitters for them in the bottom of the ninth. Boy, Nate Jones went through Cabrera and J.D. Martinez very easily.
This was as good an outing as Nate has had in a while. He threw the ball great.
So Rondon has a 1-2-3, and we'll go to the bottom of the ninth, leading 3-2.
TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.TV today. And David Robertson comes in the game to try to nail it down. He's got a one-run lead. And there you look at the numbers. He's 6-4 ERA, 3.39 on for the 56th time. This is his 38th opportunity trying to nail down save number 31. So it's been Johnson for 6, Jennings for 1 hitter, Nate Jones for 2 strong, and now Robbie coming on for 3 outs.
Tyler Collins 0 for 3 tonight. A grounded to first, a strikeout. Then a line drive to Trace Thompson in left field as there's first pitch strike. 28,499 tonight. This afternoon.
34,175.
That's a fair ball. And that's out number 1. Mike Holt thought it was foul.
And so did Collins is he didn't run, and now he's trying to talk to Brian Gorman.
That's not his call.
It is not his call. Gets down the line. Collins stops. Holt finally turned around in time to see Tripp Gibson pointing into fair territory all the way, and then oops, there you go.
It's a good thing David did not give up on that. He kept going over there. So here's Castellanos. He got a low fastball and ripped a double into right field. He's 1 for 3. That's right at the bottom of the zone and didn't get it. Outfield, they're deep as they should be. That evens the count at 1. A little low and wide.
Held on to that one a little bit too long.
Castellanos' face, Robbie. 3 Thompson has 1 hit. Well, last couple times out there, he's rolled a couple curve balls up there. He didn't want to roll that one. There's another Kansas City special for you. Broken bat, little soft single in the left field.
This is a fastball down, and Castellanos likes the ball down. We've been talking about it. That's thigh high. Even though he shatters the bat, strong enough to.
Talking about it for 2 years.
Hit it into left field. And now Anthony Ghost comes on to pinch run. He's got some pretty big speed.
Ghost 21 stolen bases.
Caught 10 times, however, which is not a particularly good percentage.
Well, so here's McCann. Goes decent lead. And David, a good move to first. Quick move. If you don't believe it, ask Abraham. Abraham Almonte will tell you he's got a good move.
He will that.
And of course, Abraham Almonte, day before yesterday, or yesterday now, it seems like they got picked off to end the ball game. It was the day before yesterday. Oh, and 2 the count.
Victor Martinez is in the on deck circle. Unless McCann, who's grounded into 15 double plays this year, would oblige one more time.
The 0-2 pitch. He gone. 2 down.
Throws that curveball, keeps it low and away, and he gets him. And here comes Victor.
He has faced David 6 times, has 2 hits. This is where you definitely in the outfield play deep and cut across, because a tweener is going to score Anthony Ghosts, especially with 2 out. Victor, as I mentioned, had the only hit for the Tigers in game 1. That was a broken bat little single. Over the shortstop position's head into left field. Or else it would have been a perfect game for just the margin. Good rip. Fouls it back. Victor. More home runs left-handed. He's got 9 left-handed, 1 right-handed, but right-handed hitting at 353, left-handed hitting at 215.
This is only his 5th opportunity to pinch hit this year. He's 1 for 4 with a run batted in previously.
Of you out there who know Jim Thome and what a terrific person he is, besides hitting 612 home runs in his career, Victor Martinez is one of Jim Thome's all-time favorite teammates. Jim thinks the world of him. There's a strike and the count 0-2.
That one a good hook.
Yeah, that had some bite on it, even though it was up. It still had some bite. He must have shortened up that stride just a bit. Put it right underneath his hands. Chops that one foul.
Victor, for a guy that's always driven in a lot of runs and always hit the ball out of the park, doesn't strike out very much. 50 strikeouts and 420 at bats this year.
Well, those numbers don't even tell the story on him, because he is definitely one of the best, and has been one of the best clutch hitters in the game.
Tried to hit the outside corner, but
it was off the plate.
Couldn't get it. Xfinity Pitch Tracks will show you where it appears, and this is wide.
Two and two the count. and the 2-2.
Switch hitting Romine in the on deck circle.
Payoff pitch. He gone. Hook. And this ball game is over. So the Sox come in here. They win the opener 2-0 behind a one-hitter by Jeff Samardzija, and then Eric Johnson picks up his third victory. As you look at this curveball right there, a good one with bite going down. He punches out, and we'll be back.